So today I had the pleasure of talking with Michael Cesa. He's a personal and business advisor from Sydney. We connected over Instagram, and basically today we'll see us getting to know each other. It was the first time we're talking, and we bonded over our shared passion for personal development, and we covered basically how Michael got to the point where he was able to teach others in this personal and business side of things and performance and just being able to unlock that hidden potential, and we're gonna go through all of that. So before we go to the show, I would like to thank you for consuming this content, and if you want to help me grow the channel and grow this project, just subscribe to the YouTube channel and leave a review on iTunes and just do the general sharing with your friends, and it really helps me to see the support behind the show. And yeah, so enjoy our conversation. The audio is a little bit weird. I'm still fine-tuning all the switches back in the technical side of things, so I hope you still enjoy it. And so I mispronounced Michael's last name in the video, which is a little bit awkward, so Cesa, sorry Michael. So enjoy the show. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Road Delta podcast. With me today I have Michael Cesa. That's
Cesa. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Cesa. My last name's longer, but I had to change it because it sounds like a bit of a pizza topping if I say it. So, but yeah, and so we met each other. It's still a while ago now, when I was starting out a YouTube channel at the time, and we just connected over Instagram, and been checking in on each other ever since, and it's been cool to see us both what we're going through. For doing what we love, right?
Yeah,
we have passion for what we do.
That's something that I guess why I connected with you is I feel like we are doing something that at least we are aligned in what we at least want to get out of this self-development industry. We also going to talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, so you mainly do content on Facebook, and now transitioned for more like your own business, right? And you are
that's right.
helping people both in business and more of like a social and a personal, let's say, environment to push through those limits and create a better version of themselves. Would that be a accurate description?
That was really accurate description. Yeah, really good.
And I saw your progression during your videos you do in your Facebook videos, and one of the things that I really caught my eye, because in this self-development there's a lot of bullshit and a lot of people that like they say they do things, but at the end of the day it's all fluff, let's say. But there's one thing that I really...
That's actually one of the big things that pushed... Sorry, I was just going to say that was one of the big things that pushed me. I was just like, I want to get started because, and you're probably the same, right? It's a bit of a driving force in some ways.
Yeah, that was one of my issues. I was like, man, I just want to create content to share what I learn, and if I keep that truth, I guess it will reflect in the content. So I guess maybe you can talk a little bit more about... the type of content you do for people that are watching.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the type of content, so initially what happened was I started on YouTube when we first met, and I basically realized, as I'm sure you know, how hard it is to get traction, how hard it is to get views on YouTube. It's just such an enormous platform. And at the time I was doing a lot of free services. So I was really just trying to test the waters. Am I good at this? Can I really help someone? Is there a need for this type of stuff I was doing? And with YouTube, I was like, I'll play around with it. I'll just make videos about stuff I'm really passionate about. And it got to a point a few months later after starting where I thought, and some of my mentors said, you got to get on Facebook if you want to generate some sort of actual clients. And just because people spend more time on Facebook, and it won't take as long. You don't need a huge following just to get to people. And so based on that, basically, I tried to start making videos more Facebook tailored. So I was doing a lot of Facebook Lives for a while. I was doing a lot of shorter videos, and the main purpose, I guess, behind that content was the problems I was seeing and the problems I've been through myself. Because I had, to be honest, a very non-linear curve of personal development. So I was kind of going one way. Realized, I'm sure you've realized as well, it can be sometimes counterproductive. In trying to self-improve, we often come to conclusions that, well, we need more and more improvement, and then you never really get that far. And so really tried to base a lot of the content around that. And now moving forward, it's pretty much all based on just the stuff I've seen with clients. And just because I feel like, A, that's what I'm most passionate about, and B, it probably will connect with more people. So yeah, that's what's happened so far.
Yeah. It's like,
but I have terrible editing skills.
I can help you with that. Yeah, it's like one of the videos that really caught my eye was your like public speaking. So those challenges you do back in the day, where you just go on like a train or just go to like a water fountain and just say something for the sake of just pushing through that fear. So I guess I want to go a little bit back and just go through the process of how did you get in this mode of self-development, so in that drive to just achieve more.
So I'll be honest, it's quite hard to pinpoint. So as far back as I can remember, I was the older brother, so I kind of always wanted to be an example. And I had all younger cousins as well. And I had this drive, really wanted to get better and better. And then when I was 14, I discovered lifting weights is some form of self-improvement. And I was like, oh, you can improve yourself in a physical sense. And then my mind was like, well, what else is there? Because at that time I was not, to be honest, my whole schooling life, I wasn't very popular. I got bullied most of my primary school life. And so for me, that was like a snippet of, hey, you can be, you can get better. You can actually change these things. And so at 14, I started discovering some self-development books, Tony Robbins. So my dad had a Tony Robbins book, Unlimited Power, in his cabinet. And I was like, what the hell is this? So,
I can turn into a Super Saiyan.
I know, it was all this stuff about state. And then, so I read into it, and I just got hooked. I was like, oh, why wouldn't I read more of this? And then I read more and more and more. And then I found there was always this natural drive to try and help other people with it. But as I'm sure you know so well, if people don't want to change, they won't change. And so I kind of kept it to myself for a long time, besides a few friends who were really into it, until the point where I was like, you know what, this is who I am. And I'm sure you've gone through that breaking point. You're like, this is who I am. I'm going to put it out there. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And let's just see where it takes me. So yeah, that's how it kind of kicked off. I'm sure you've had probably a similar thing where you're like, oh, you discovered, wow.
Yeah, my whole world changed. It was like discovering a new planet. It's like you don't know about that you can even improve. I mean, I didn't even think that way. It was like, actually I started in, maybe you are aware of this, like in the real social dynamics.
Yeah, very aware.
So it was introduced by self-development in all the books by, so if everyone doesn't know, it's like a pickup artists community. But they go really into depth more about that personal side of things, like inner game. And yeah, I then spiral out of control, and then somehow I'm doing this not for a living, but it's definitely a goal to do that, like you're doing yourself. Yeah. And how was that transition for you? Like for you to just reading books and just sharing with your closest friends to deciding, okay, I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was, on one side, I've got the personal development side of things. On the other side, I've got a very traditional path. So went to university, did a commerce degree. Then from there, did a number of startup consulting jobs. And that led into a big consulting job at one of the big four, Ernst & Young, if you're familiar. And anyways, very, very old school corporate. So I've got personal development on one side, which is very like real social dynamics, blasé, all over the place. Yeah. And then you've got very, very corporate. So yeah, and don't get me wrong, I learned lessons, and it was very valuable. But I thought, how can I integrate the two? How could this serve a purpose? And all this stuff I was learning about emotions and inner world and changing your thought patterns, etc. I thought, what if I could the results I've gotten in terms of a state of mind, because really that's what it is. I like yourself. I just can't stand it when it gives us all a bad rap when they're like, oh, I can make you this much money. Haven't done it myself type of thing. I don't say that to people. Like, I've reached this state of mind and I've found it's very helpful in a business setting, for example, or in some sort of purpose-driven pursuit. And so I thought I'd mold the two together, what I've learned from the two, and just really experiment with it and see how people respond. And yeah, it's as you know, it's like personal growth and business growth, or really any sort of career growth, are one in the same in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I guess if you fix, that's a little bit why I got into this mode. I realized, like, man, if I can fix, like, if I can be productive, if I can just stop procrastinating, I guess everything falls into place, you know.
Absolutely.
And I know if you felt this also, but just going and reading a book sometimes is enough to just shift something in your head. But if you really want long-lasting change, you actually need to put in the work. It's not just... And I know how, if you see this with your clients, like if they really are looking for like quick fixes, that are coming with that mindset of just like a quick fix, or if you actually need to teach them, okay, guys, this takes time.
Yeah, what I've done is I've actually said no to a lot more people than yes, just because if they're in that mindset of this is a quick fix, the relationship's just not going to work and I'm not going to enjoy it. And you just can't even see the lessons in the personal growth. But yeah, 100% agree. I feel like sometimes those people who believe there's a quick fix need to go through the battle of having your ego slammed, putting in those productive hours, work ethic, and then they learn themselves and then they can do it however.
Yeah. So you kind of just kick it off, just making sure that they... And what the type of clients you have? It's like more corporate or more personal, or it's like a mixture?
So initially I came out and I was like, I want to help everyone. I just want to help whoever. But the problem is, most people are like, what the hell is that? Like, what do you do? And, with personal development, it's applicable everywhere. It really is. And so now I've shifted more so to business owners, and that's for two reasons. So number one is it pushes me to really more and more myself. How can I teach more advanced stuff? How can I find something that's a bit more cutting edge, something that will really work for them? And I enjoy that growth. And the other thing is, one of my long-term sort of goals is off the back of what I said, my schooling experience. All I would have loved at that time was for someone to come and say, you know what, you can improve, like you can change your circumstances. So like, one of my long-term goals is really to, well, in Australia at least, get some sort of initiative for teaching self-awareness in schools, teaching self-acceptance, even self-love. And I feel like if I can get really good with business owners, really nail it down, it's almost like, when they bring out like a Ferrari or a high-class Mercedes, and then they bring out these innovative features, and then slowly they trickle down the line to the cheaper models, and before you know it, everyone's using it. They're kind of approaching it in that way. So yeah, that's kind of how I've done things so far.
Yeah, so cool.
Well, who knows? I mean, I'm detached from that, but it would be awesome.
Yeah, so you have that goal, but you are for now, just focusing on building your business. That would be... Yeah.
That's right.
And how is the environment there in terms of self-development in Australia? Because I feel like, I'm in Luxembourg, in Australia, like a different part of the world, literally the other side of the world. So I don't know. Is it very different from, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have this wonderful saying, this wonderful cultural disease in some ways, which is called tall poppy syndrome. So basically the way it works is, if anyone in a social setting starts to seem like they're growing a bit or bettering themselves, you get chopped down like a tall poppy, and people will come at you with very strong action. As an example, I've lost in the last 6 months, I'd say 90% of my social circle, and that's not me. I'm not going out trying to do that. It's just naturally happening, and I don't have a say in it. It's just how it is, and it's just this culture. It's like, for example, you finish work. It's like, if you're not having beers, what the hell are you doing? That's all there is to life. And if you're not coming to work on Monday telling everyone how smashed you got on the weekend, then what are you doing with yourself? You're not living. And so that's a really, really prominent culture. you get a lot of backlash. I get a lot of backlash, but at the same time, I really enjoy that because it does build a lot of resilience. And I tell you what, it does knock your ego out of the park, which is always a good thing. I'm not sure, what's it like in Luxembourg, the culture?
I'm originally from Portugal, but I also like the things you're saying apply exactly the same in Portugal. So it's like very traditional, very follow your own path and don't really think about too much about the things you can do outside it. Of course, if you try to do something for yourself, people just like try to gossip and like look at he's doing. But then when you are with them, they are all friendly, and I guess that's a problem everywhere. It's not just it's all over the place. But here in Luxembourg, it's very corporate. A lot like banking is like huge here, and there's also a lot of that bullshit of just leaving work and going to like have a lot of drinks and I don't know, a lot of people talking, and I don't see anyone doing much.
Yeah, that is big in corporate Australia here. That is big.
Or probably just corporate in general. I don't know.
Yeah, just corporate in general. Yeah. Every lunch break when I was there, everyone was like, "Oh, wait, Michael, I've got the next best idea." I'm like, you said that last week.
You said that last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that's funny.
Yeah, it's a different reality that I want to kind of distance myself from, but I still feel like I sometimes need to play within those rules. I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah,
it's a lot of politics.
So many. And to be honest, it's always good to learn because you think now, for example, you learn it a bit more, and as I'm sure you've had, and you can tailor your videos to people specific. Yeah. Really understand, because it's very easy. I'm not sure if you found I'm sure you have, where when you're around personal development type of people, it's very easy to be in this mystical land of dreams and goals and vision, and the average person just isn't anywhere near that place. Yeah. And so, with those experiences, you just come back to earth, I guess, in some ways, without too far gone.
Yeah. Something that I struggle a little bit sometimes is like to create that content that it's like I create sometimes content so that I can learn about something, when you learn about something by teaching it. And sometimes I'm kind of afraid of portraying this version of myself that I'm like this like mega productive, like I work out every day. I'm like, but at the end of the day, I struggle as much, probably more than anyone else, but I guess I push more through those barriers. Yeah, I was going to ask like what it is like for you, like as a coach that like teaches this, how can you pass by those barriers,
push through those barriers? Well, it's always really just coming back to those core principles, really coming back to in those tough times. And there's been a number of, not that I'd ever consider quitting or anything, no way, but there has been times where like, for example, there was a point last year where I signed up a ton of clients and I actually I ran a seminar, went really well, got clients off that, and I was like, holy shit, I think